Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe, and you're checking out Weekend at Gabe's, and thanks for checking out this latest episode. While you're here, also follow us on these social medias at Weekend Gabe, at Weekend at Gabe's, and also at The Real Sam Crane. Thanks for checking us out.
And also joining us from an undisclosed location with some of the nicest frames I've seen this year, besides yours, Sam. Yours is all right, too. But
Fuck me. I didn't know you were like that. Sneak dissing on my shades today. Not even 8:12 yet. Jesus. All right. Sorry. Get into it.
The man behind the latest Sunset Radio, Elijah LeFlore, joins us here on Weekend at Gabe. Good evening.
What's good, man?
How are you?
Good. Y'all are hilarious.
Appreciate it.
Well, really quickly, what do you think about that? Would you wear $300 recordable glasses that you can record your friends for 60 seconds and 5 megapixels? Is that enticing?
No, not at all. Not even that the megapixels are low. I don't want to be the person that accidentally sees something I wasn't supposed to see, and now that person has to beef with me. Now they're trying to call me to the stand because I witnessed, and I'm good.
Exactly.
Don't worry, none of your evidence there is credible because it's all in 5 megapixel quality.
Right. Stick figure.
Well, listen, thank you so much for giving us your time. Sunset Radio is the latest record that is out there from you. Just dropped in January. You are quoted as calling this album as a rebirth. Sam and I were both really impressed with the bars that you were dropping in the last 5 years, and really surprised at the transformation in your career and your musicality. Talk a little bit about what was the moment that just switched that switch for you to make you transition into being this harmonious singer.
So I originally wanted to be a singer when I was in high school, and I remember the first song I ever tried singing was "This Christmas," the Chris Brown edition.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's when my mom was like, "Oh, boy, you got a voice." I was like, "Oh, yeah? We're gonna make it happen." And then when I was in school, one of my homies, Rocco, he transferred in, and he was a rapper. He just always freestyle, and so everybody started doing it. And then my cousins, Flood and Bel Air, they started a group called AK-47. And so from there, it's like, okay, all right, bet. Let me write too. And at a certain point, I think that I got like where I felt like nobody is going to really accept this other side of me. So I have to rap. Like, I'm good at it. So I have to rap. I think once I started realizing like, okay, this is kind of getting monotone for me. Like, this is the same thing, and I'm not really making the music that I want to hear. Yeah. Like, I'm making music that I think other people want to hear. I'm trying to prove my pen, and I felt like I did that. So at that point, I said, you know what, it's time to really dive into this thing and really make what I want to make and become the artist that I want to be. Sure. So that's the rebirth. That's what I hear in my head on a daily basis.
Hell yeah. Got it. Hell yeah. And part of the inspiration for this album, of course, you've talked about it before, this road trip at Atlanta to California and back. All kinds of things can happen on that road trip. I've never taken it myself, but I did Memphis to California and then back, and that was a long way. Long trip. It is a long trip. But that's what brings me to my question is what music are you playing? You talk about making the music that you want to make. What music are you playing for yourself on that drive that really inspired you or spoke to you to make something great?
I'm very nostalgic. Like my shorty, she called me old. Because it's like I listen to a lot of R&B. I listen to a lot of like pop, a lot of like the pop. I'm talking about like 2000s, like Backstreet Boys.
Classic. First off, as a white male, I can say I grew up on that as well. You know,
Smash Mouth, all of it. Like that's where I live. And that was what's crazy is I don't even remember everything that I listened to because I was literally working on the project as I was going out there. Like I'm listening to these beats that I got on BeatStars at the time, and I'm like, all right, you know, let me see what I can do. Every time I'm driving, every time I take the wheel, and I'm doing legs, like I'm doing 16-hour legs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow. That's hard. That's hardcore.
No, I can drive. I can drive. I've driven from Chicago to Texas before by myself.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No.
Oh no, I was just gonna tell my trying to drive around Puerto Rico, and you can't be tired because you'll fall off a cliff if you were the smidget of an error could land you off a cliff. So you can't do that.
See, I don't mess with heights. So I don't like that little hill in California that's in movies.
Camarillo, yeah.
You never see me on that.
Nope.
I won't ride a bike. I won't drive anything that can accidentally make a wrong turn. I won't be on. Like I'm good. But yeah, like so a lot of that trip, like when I'm driving, I just like to be in my head, and that's when I'm most productive. It's like I don't have anything between me but the road. So I just started writing, and I was inspired. I was inspired at the time. I had this new sound that I was working on, so it just came out. And from Arizona to California, from Texas to California, it's a lot of like beautiful sightseeing that you can do, and it's just like it literally sets the vibe, and it set the vibe for that project.
Yeah. What did you find out about yourself during that trip? Was there a piece of scenery or a specific location that just kind of like, because this album is really like an exposure and opening up yourself and a reflection piece. And so while you're saying you're inspired by the trip itself, but was there a moment of just like pure clarity of what you should be doing and how you should record it and write it?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of nature. Like I love, the hills. I love the mountains in California, and I got to see the canyons for the first time driving through Arizona, and I was like, I really like this. Like I felt at peace and I felt at home, and I kind of just started realizing like you get to a point in life where you realize that you have to control your own reality. Like we can live by what we think other people want us to do every day, but then it's like you're living for somebody else. And when you choose to live for yourself, I mean, everything changes. Your drive changes, your motivation changes, the way you think. It's just like you almost get rewired because you like, this doesn't make me happy. This makes me sad. I don't want to do what makes me sad. I want to do what makes me happy. And you kind of really start living for yourself. And I feel like when you're living like that, you become better and more motivated in your craft or whatever that is. And you also become better for the people around you because it's like they're getting the real you, not the fake you. Your authentic self.
Yeah. Speaking of people who are their authentic self, and I think this speaks to Ro Marsalis, the human. But talk about linking up with him, because you talked about sort of starting off the trip and getting on BeatStars. Ro Marsalis is a long way from BeatStars.
Look, you said human. That man is an alien.
An alien.
That man is an alien. That's a real goat.
For real.
Jack of all trades. Nah, that's my brother for real. Man, it was literally just perfect timing. He was actually the person that was like that started it. I came in the studio and I was trying to get in the groove because I was working on a project, and the project originally was some really hip hop shit. I was getting ready to rap.
Yeah.
And I got back from that trip and I said, yo, bro, I said, I'm about to do some shit that I ain't never did before. You know what I'm saying? You might think it's weird, but just let me get this shit off. He was like, man, bro, go in there and record that shit. Did it. And he was like, this is it, bro. This is you. This is you. And when we got to the song Bittersweet, this is how you know that you really got Ro inspired. Like
Right.
this is a good song. When we were recording Bittersweet, he's like, you mind if I lay something on that? By all means. He freestyled that shit.
Never.
No lie. He freestyled. I sat there and was watching and was like, yo, he don't have a pen. He don't have no pad or nothing. No phone. He literally sitting in front of the mic. And he just did that shit.
Man.
Wow.
That's crazy. We spoke to Ro a few months back, and he talked a little bit about that being a part of his process, being, you know, knowing somebody intimately, sharing that story, really, really feeling it. So it's cool to see that come into action and you telling that story from your perspective. That's amazing. We got to talk with Ro about how much of the stuff he freestyles, because that is insane too.
He's crazy. Like when we in the studio, at least 2 hours is just regular conversation.
Yeah,
we just talking, and we be having deep conversations. Like it'll be me, Ro, Wildlife Willie is usually there. Like we just be chopping it up. This is real organic.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah.
What was he? Because you mentioned that he was listening to other records besides Bittersweet. How much involvement was he in with the entire album?
Everything. Like
Okay.
Ro, the project, the whole entire album was recorded at Feature Forms.
Word.
You know, mixed and mastered everything. Like I really trust his ear. So, you know, when it's times like, hey, how you feel about this? And he'll keep it real. Like, I like this, I don't like this. I think you can do better. And it's like at this point, we don't really have to verbally say something. Like, we just in the mode. I'll be recording and I'll do a take and I'll be like, yeah, one more. He'll be like, yeah, I was just about to say that. Or he'll be like, one more. Yep, I got you. And like we just in sync like that. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
One of the things, real quick, Sam. One of the things I noticed is that just the mixing and engineering of the record is phenomenal. So, and I know that Ro himself puts a lot of effort into that post production part of his record. So that now it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah,
what I was hearing.
Real.
Yeah,
it's real. I'll say this is like learning this or going back through this process, because I've been doing this for, you know, some years now, and it's been a lot of lessons along the way. You have to invest in yourself, and you have to invest in the people that surround you and the people that support you and you support them. You know what I'm saying? We're Ro running Feature Form Studio. You shoot yourself in the foot when, you know, I look at it like this. If I just went in there and was like, yeah, I'm gonna record with you, and I recorded, right? And I was like, Ro is really good. So the draft that you get is gonna sound like somebody's mix.
Right.
If I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna run with this, that's you shooting yourself in the foot, because imagine this is the draft. This is what the draft sounds like. Imagine if you go back for the mixing session and you get that done and you make the song that much more dynamic. You bring parts of the song to life that nobody even would have heard. Like when we were working on Sunset Radio, we were listening to track outs, and I'm like, damn, I didn't even know that was there. like what is this?
Yeah.
Right.
No, I love that. I think it speaks to the work that they're doing over there too, as far as getting to know who they're working with on an intimate level. And that's what we try to do on this show. So I wanna roll the clocks back a little bit. I read in another interview that your mother is a poet.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if that had any effect on your thought process behind sort of getting softer, I would say. Not in sort of like a hard exterior sort of sense, but becoming more emotional in your music, getting into that musicality. Do you attribute your mother's influence there at all?
100% to my writing. Like I can actually write.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in high school one time, and I remember it so well because I was really like blue, because I wrote this essay and nobody had really ever saw or read writing from me. and I wrote this. I think it was an illustrative essay, and the teacher thought I plagiarized it. That's how good it was. like, uh, and I showed my mom, and she was like, "You wrote this?" I was like, "Yeah," but she believed me. Like I'm her son. Like I can really write it. Like if I wanted to, I could write a book. I just don't have the patience to write a book right now. That's kind of what
One day though. One day.
Yeah, one day when I'm ready to sit down. But right now, like that's what made me go into screenwriting, because it's like, okay, I can let my writing, and I can let what's in my head live through that, through writing film. So yeah, my mom had a major influence, and the way she tells it, I was always a sweetheart kid. The way other people see it, I'm a little bit different now. Just because growing up in Chicago will harden you up a little bit, but
Right.
yeah, I think my mom has always definitely supported us being authentic in our music and being real. Me and my brother.
Yeah. Word. I want to ask a follow up, because you brought up the film Shaded Smiles, award winning film that you've put out on that you wrote for, and I'm wondering, not to get too into the minutia of that part of your life, which is obviously some years ago now, but I'm wondering if you use the tools that you learned in that process of writing the film, seeing it being created, seeing it shopped around, as part of your own visuals these days, especially with Sunset Radio and really, translating what's on the record to what I'm seeing with my eyes. Is that something you're conscious of?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like the team hasn't changed. D-Ro, who now his company is Maker Visuals, who does all of my music videos. China Tang, producer. Um, that team hasn't changed. We still work on projects together. All of our music videos we work on together. Like that's the thing for me. Is the first thing when we started working on this project, I told Ro, I call him Ro. And this is it's funny now because you got Ro Marsalis and
it's a different Ro. For the audience, those are not the same Ro that he's referring to. Yeah. Yes.
So we're sitting down and I'm like, yo, I don't want to sing, I don't want to rap to the camera. Like everybody does that. I want to tell the story. I want to, I want this to be a movie. I want you to really feel and live what I'm saying in the song. That's how Bittersweet came out like it did. Where it was like, for me, Bittersweet was talking about my childhood and the disappointments in myself. And for Ro, it was an entire different feel. It was an entire different motivation for his verse. So that's where you get the dynamic of that video from.
Right. If I could let's stay a little bit further in sort of a period. There was an interview you did about 5-6 years ago, and you kind of talked about sort of the down point of music. You and the New World crew had just put out a record, and you were just sort of in a funk. You had gone through a lot of family, what would you call it, issues, and then you guys were stuck in a bad PR management deal. Things were just not looking on the up and up. And then it seems like during this quote unquote rebirth, during that 6 or 7 years since that time period, when you reflect back, how do you look at that point in time as a growth for evaluation of yourself, a growth for change? How do you describe that time?
It's funny when you say it. Literally, 2015 screams at me because that was literally the worst summer of my life. That was literally the worst summer of my life. That's when we were in a bad PR deal. I was working. I'm gonna be real. Like I'm not trying to flex. I was working for a temp agency out in the burbs, and I remember this day like the back of my hand. I did a shift, 23-hour shift, doing flood and fire restoration. And at a temp agency, especially when you out in the burbs, you don't have that Chicago minimum wage. So minimum wage was $8.25, and I remember doing this all night. And when I woke up in the morning, they paid you the next morning. When I woke up in the morning, I had $108. That's what they paid me. And I remember breaking down to my mom, like, this is not, I can't live like this. Is not how I'm supposed to live. Like, this is, I just did a 23-hour shift, and they gave me $100. Like, I was losing my mind, because I'm doing these little odd jobs. Like, I'm working in factories. I'm working in a furniture factory. I forget which one is out there in Tinley Park. They got like a main store and then a factory. And I was just like, dude, like, this is not it. And Mom, I just really just went low. And it's crazy because you would never know it. That's when we dropped the first Got Us. And we were just getting through it. But that was a really rough summer. And I think from there, I just started losing more of myself over the time, over that several year period. To coming out of school, going through some things and falling into a real deep depression. And then just really coming out of the pandemic, or going into the pandemic, like 2020 May, that's when things kind of started to liven up a little bit for me. And I started to kind of like refine myself and kind of find a little bit of that happiness back. And I had to get back. I had to get right.
Hell yeah. No,
absolutely.
Hell yeah. We're running out of time here, but we like to have a little bit of fun on the show. We like to ask some interesting questions. So with that in mind, you spoke in another interview about creating sort of an ambiance in the room as you're writing. Lighting candles was one of the things that you mentioned. And I was wondering if you had 4 walls, an empty room, and you could design the perfect room to write in, what would that look like?
Oh, it would definitely have like a little like a strobe light. I got one on my desk, like of the galaxy. I love like galaxy first feeling. Definitely got to have some candles. You see this one burning in the back. Got to have some figurines. Like if you see my desk, I got the I got the the Biggie. I got to have a little bit of that.
Okay.
Definitely a comfortable couch. I need like a regular like size couch that fits the room, and then I need like a beanbag chair,
right,
that I can just sprawl out in, and then I need just the studio and the recording room. That's it. That's all I need. Like, I'm very simple.
Okay, that's a good answer. All right, my next one is the album's called Sunset Radio. We talked about the music that you were playing on this road trip. If you had your own radio station, Elijah LeFlore Radio on Apple Music or wherever you consume radio these days, what is one song that would be in heavy rotation? And then give me some genres that would always be in rotation.
But one song that would be in heavy rotation? Ooh. Not gonna lie to you, I would say Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder, it would be a Stevie Wonder song for sure. Which song would I put? Don't You Worry About a Thing.
Word. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be in that joint. We be dancing all day to just that one song in rotation.
Hell yeah.
Genre-wise, R&B, pop, like nostalgic pop. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to get some Red Hot Chili Peppers.
You're going to get some Red Hot Chili Peppers and Backstreet Boys alongside the Stevie Wonder record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to throw some Mike in there, some Prince, some Whitney.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the vibes. I'm going to mix it in, but I'm going to give you the vibes.
Okay. I'm excited. Hey, Apple, if you out there, Radio 1, whatever you got to do, BBC, Elijah LeFlore. He's your guy. Gabe, I'll let you take this last one, the Titanic question.
Yeah. Let's go. All right. So February 18th, you tweeted in a quote tweet to a terrifying footage showing the moment huge waves smashed the windows of a ferry in Germany. You said response time was terrible. I give that shit an F. Somebody like me would have noticed that wave at its inception and been gone. Somewhere safe, dry, and with a life jacket preparing the floaty boat. This is why I would have survived a Titanic. Our question is, what would your Titanic escape plan been?
Oh, I would have known. Like, see, people don't pay attention. Everybody's trying to dance. I'm already on the water, so I'm unsettled. I'm still learning how to swim. So this is not my safe place. So as soon as I would have felt, you can feel that energy. Something's about to go wrong. Bump waiting. I'm gonna have my life jacket on. I'm gonna be on that boat and I'm gonna be lowering it. I'm good. I'm good.
Without anybody else on the boat, it's just Elijah.
That's on you. Like Leonardo DiCaprio, he could have fit on that little door or whatever.
Yeah,
it was. He could have fit.
Yeah, she was bogus for that.
Yeah, it was cute, but no, I'm not dying. I'm not drowning. You got to move over, shorty. That's over with. Yeah, I'm gone.
Oh man, I'm with you all the time, man. She was bogus for that. They could have been safe room for both of y'all. All right, Elijah LeFlore, thank you so much for joining us. Sunset Radio is the new EP that's out there on all digital streaming platforms. Go digest it, put it into your life. You'll be a better person for it. Thanks so much for joining us here. We appreciate y'all for having you back. Elijah LeFlore here on Weekend at Gabe's tonight.
Hey man, that was cool, man. All right, it's so cool. And if Ro Marsalis is watching right now, you should know, Ro. We are absolutely stealing your clientele, and we are putting them on the interview rotation. So know that. But please go listen to Sunset Radio, an absolutely fantastic album. I've been listening to it all year, and we didn't even get a chance to talk about what a sunny album that was and why he dropped it in the middle of cold-ass Chicago winter. But we will one day get to the bottom of that.
Hey, I'm Weekend Gabe. Thanks for checking out this latest episode of Weekend at Gabe's. Click on any of the links swirling around my head and also hit the subscribe button while you're here. Thanks for checking out us here on YouTube.